This podcast was originally posted exclusively on Patreon. If you want to support the channel and gain access to additional content just like this, consider going over to patreon.com/coop64, which is linked in the description below. Now, enjoy the episode.
Welcome in to the Casual Gaming Conversation bonus episode. I'm Connor. That's Nick. Today we are talking about the PlayStation 3, a little PS3 retrospective. We're going to be doing these for a whole bunch of consoles, whether we know as much as we do about the PS3 as we do, or we might go back to like the N64, which we have a little bit less knowledge about, but we'll talk about the ins and outs, our favorite games, our personal experiences with them. So don't take this as a history lesson. This is very much a personal take, a personal experience when it comes to this particular console. We're going to go over some of our favorite games, some of the notable moments from the PS3 life cycle, our memories of getting the console, what that was like, seeing a PS3 for the first time, and go from there. And then we took some write-ins from you guys as well, so we'll go over a couple of those. I only took a couple of them because I just wanted to like add a little bit of spice to the episode, include you guys. So yeah, Nick, how we doing?
Doing well. I'm excited about this one. This feels like we're back in 2023 and we're doing our gaming history episode a little bit, where it's like, oh shit, we just get to talk about like ourselves a bit. We get to talk about something we really love in the PS3. I'm excited to eventually do the 360 episode because I think that our histories with that console is
so
like
different,
so insanely different. This was a fun one. I think you realized it like on either a bonus pod recently or something else. Like you're like, you didn't get a 360 till like 2012, and I didn't. And you're right, but like the amount of 360 I played was maybe more than the amount of PS3 I played, which just because my whole gameplay loop of my entire middle school experience was, okay, so you go to school and then you get out of school and then immediately you go to your neighbors and you play the 360 for 3 hours and you come home, do dinner, do homework, go to bed. That was it, unless I had a sport on that night. But me and my buddies would all play the same sport, so we would all be able to play either touch football or 360 after school. PS3 obviously is very different for you and I because this was like your first major foray into video games. Or for me, it was just like, oh, this was that home system. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation. I'm stoked about this. But in general, I'm doing well right now. Crazy nonstop content all the time. It feels like we're fully in the middle of review season. We smell the flowers. It's review season. It's no longer spring. It's just game release after game release, it seems. And it's awesome. I love going and being on these reviews and having a bunch of fun with you, discussing the latest and greatest in gaming. But yeah, let's take a moment and look back a little bit. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Excited to talk about one of my favorite consoles of all time, an underrated gem at this point, I think. People don't necessarily talk about the PS3 when they talk about PlayStation as like the best of the best, but I think it's up there for sure.
Sold more copies than the 360. It's still the craziest fact I think I've ever learned since starting this channel.
So in order to jump in on the PS3, we first have to go back to the PS2 and note that this was our first home console. I got a PS2 for Christmas when I was 5 or 6 years old.
Meaning I was 2.
And that's what I used for a very, very long time. And a lot of people use that for a very long time. I did not get a PS3 until 2009 with Uncharted 2 and Little Big Planet. So
games that we will talk about today for sure.
So I was waiting in the wings, just ready to go, wanting a PS3 for a very long time, but I knew that they were expensive as hell. And when the PS3 launched in the US, it was $600 US. The price reveal heard around the world. Everyone was like, what the fuck? Sony was riding high off of the success of the PS2. They thought they could do no wrong. They thought they could get away with their PS3 being $600 and people were going to be fine with it, and because it's a PlayStation. But they were clearly wrong and came out the gate tripping over themselves, and the PS3 flopped at the gate and was really, really bad. So there wasn't this like major need that I felt to get a PS3. I was also a youngin', so I had to like go through my parents and be like, can we get this for Christmas or something? And they're like, $600. Absolutely not. Like, even then, I don't know if we got the PS2 secondhand or not. I do remember the box.
I remember the PS2 box also for some reason, like maybe
Right.
photos, and because I was too young to remember that.
No, we
moment.
had it in our home.
Okay.
The actual box
Yeah.
somewhere. I imagine they eventually threw it away. But Nick, I want to hear about what was the first time you saw an actual PS3 in motion? Did you see it in a Walmart somewhere? Do you remember that first time?
It's so funny that you bring that up because we got to remember, I am currently 24 years old, everyone. I am, for what seems like gaming history, I'm relatively very young when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So I think that the first time that I have a concrete memory is when we got it, Christmas morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like I think we talked about the PS3. I remember seeing an Uncharted 2 magazine before seeing like a PS3 box, even like, and you discussing that game with me and why we were excited about the PS3 and everything. But like, once again, we're talking about 2009, so I was 8. I remember discussing with my friends who had 360s at the time, like going to sleepovers and they're playing M-rated games, and I'm just like, that's cool, I guess. But like, I don't remember picking up a PS3 controller until the day of launch, or the day we got it, not the day of launch. It would, once again, that's just because I'm young, because I don't have too many concrete memories from the time I was 8 years old, I guess. But yeah, that's sort of my experience with it. Obviously, you were about 13 when that happened, so you have a lot more of a firm memory of when you first saw the PS3. What was that like for you?
So me getting the PS3 was way after I first saw a PS3. I don't know if you remember this, but when we lived in Arkansas for a few years, down the street, I had a friend, Colin, who I would go over to his house, and him and his brother were really into RuneScape. They introduced me to RuneScape, which was awesome.
And you introduced the family to RuneScape too. It was great.
And then they had a PS3.
Yep.
I think like at launch, or at least very close to it. And they had Call of Duty 3, which you could also get on the PS2.
Okay. I remember Call of Duty 3. Like, I have memories seeing Call of Duty 3.
And I was allowed to play Call of Duty 3 because it was T. And,
back in the day.
And they I think had Call of Duty 4 at that point, and that was rated M, and I wasn't allowed to play it. It also wasn't on the PS2.
Yeah.
So they had that, and then they also had Need for Speed, Carbon.
Oh yeah.
They had Spider-Man 3.
Was Carbon PS3?
We played it on PS2.
I was about to say we had a PS2
so
copy of
they
that.
influenced me to get a lot of these games, but I just played the lesser version on PS2. So I saw it on there, and I remember picking up a PS3 controller and the back triggers being like, what the fuck is this? Like they're not like firm triggers. And I was like, is this, I couldn't even tell if this was good or bad, honestly. I was like, this is just something weird. So picking up the controller, I thought that was strange. They also had MotorStorm, which I thought looked so fucking cool, dude. I thought MotorStorm was awesome. I still think MotorStorm is pretty rad. So that was my first experience seeing it. Obviously, like I said, it inspired me to buy some of these games on PS2, and you could do that for a very long time. I had a PS2 until we moved to Ohio, and so I got the PS3 like obviously 2009. I was rocking the PS2 for 3 years during that time span, still into video games. That might have been like the period of time where I was like the least into video games, maybe. I would have to imagine, because I'm trying to think of that era of like what I was really playing. I remember like Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
A lot of American Wasteland.
I was playing Rock Band, but I had seen Rock Band at a friend's house on a PS3, and there was a whole career mode. And then you get on the PS2 and it's just the set list. And you can like, it's basically just a regular Guitar Hero. Then you have to beat the block of songs and then go on to the next one. And so I was really into Rock Band on the PS2 as well. And then eventually the PS3 finally came down in price. I think the slim version might have been out at this point, but I got the big PS3
with the
Spider-Man text on it, the Spider-Man font, which was so weird. Not one of the backwards compatible ones. My mom bought it on eBay for me for Christmas.
This box, real quick, just quick fun story. This was the last present of Christmas, and We tear off the wrapping paper. Connor gets really excited. I'm excited that Connor's excited. And then it's just like a shipping box, which is not normally when you're a kid, you open up and you see like an actual format. If it's a toy or a Nerf gun, you see like a fun art design. It was just a shipping box. I remember this so clearly and vividly.
This was before like Amazon was so ubiquitous. Like we weren't ordering stuff online that much at this point, in my memory at least. So I think she ordered it on eBay as far as I know. And it came with a knockoff controller.
Oh yeah.
Like didn't even have like the symbols on it. It just like had like blank circles.
Yep.
I don't even know if it came with a base PS3 controller at all.
I don't think it did.
And we had to go to the store and buy one.
Yeah, this was also peak post-Christmas GameStop runs. December 26th? Are you fucking kidding me? December 26th? That shit was gas back in the day. I remember you and I back in the day. It wasn't about Christmas. It was all about December 26th.
Yeah.
Because that's when you get to go, like, this is the time I'm like 10-ish years old. And so I'm like, I like to read. I like video games to some regard. And so you go to a few stores on December 26th and all the Christmas cash you went and got, you would go and have fun with that. Come on.
Yeah, we were very lucky that our grandparents would gift us a gift card or some cash for Christmas.
It would be GameStop gift cards often.
So we would go spend that money the next day, of course, because we had to. It was burning all in our pocket. So we went and picked up a regular PS3 controller. But I remember because we would go visit our family in Massachusetts. We lived in Ohio for Christmas. I get the PS3 Christmas morning. We go to our uncle's house for Christmas dinner that night. I take the PS3 with me. I'm playing Uncharted 2 online and explaining, I'm playing against other people right now. And I thought that was the craziest thing. I'm like, I could be playing against somebody all the way across the world. Isn't that so cool? And I was trying to explain it to everybody, and nobody else was as excited as I was. But I was like, this is awesome.
We'll bring it up during the Wii episode also. But like, Christmas is going to the uncle's place and then playing the system is something that has happened way too many times in our life. Yeah. I think it's 2 times, but still a lot.
And then after that, our parents have a house on Martha's Vineyard, and we will take like a week of just hanging out over there after Christmas or so, because we had a 2-week Christmas break.
Yep.
And I remember loading the PS3 up with a bunch of demos. And that blew my fucking mind too. I was like, I can play the first hour of Infamous. I can play the first hour of Batman Arkham Asylum. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
PS3 demos, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think I downloaded a single demo on my PS4 ever.
I was testing everything, dude.
Maybe I downloaded RE7, never played it. There was a demo for RE7,
yes, I did
right?
the RE7 demo. But it was like PT. It was like a kind of like sliver.
I remember I downloaded it, and I was like, I'm too scared. I'm not doing that. Yeah.
So that was a legendary time for me of first multiplayer online experience with Uncharted 2, then playing Uncharted 2 over the course of that vacation, playing Little Big Planet single player. Did we play that together?
We played a lot of Little Big Planet during that vacation. These vacations to me, it reminds me of obviously simpler times, being a kid and everything, but Little Big Planet was a huge one for us. That was just like, hey, there was the classic moment where the mom was just like, you got to play with your brother and everything, got to include him. But such formative experiences for the both of us. And I think that we talked about it in our childhood. One year you would like me, one year you wouldn't. It would sort of go back and forth all the way back. This was a year that you were like, Nick's pretty cool, I guess. And it worked out well because I got to play a Little Big Planet with you. And it was a great time.
So we did the campaign of Little Big Planet together a ton during that vacation. I got home, connected to the internet again because we don't have internet over at that vacation house or whatever. We go off the grid for the winter time,
a full week,
which is kind of awesome. It was so nice to get games for Christmas and then just go play them all.
It's been in the back of my mind. I eventually, when for some reason, if I want to give you and Laura a legitimate Christmas present, the answer is find a place for you to have a night in a cabin or 2 where you get to go off the fucking grid.
I love going off the grid. It's super fun.
Yeah.
And by go off the grid, I mean plug in a video game console
in
the middle of the woods.
It's put the phone down and not be bothered.
Yeah,
that's sort of it.
So we get back. I connect to the internet again, downloading or I guess just playing Little Big Planet
Yeah.
levels, and that was mind blowing. Our internet, we had like a basement, and our internet was like on the other side of the house, and I like couldn't get it to connect into the basement. I was like, "Fuck!" Like I can't play online with my friends, so that was always like a constant struggle of trying to
Oh yeah. Oh my
fight about
gosh. Yeah.
where the internet was in the house and be like, "Can we move it somewhere else?" And they'd be like, "No, it's in the office. Like that's where it goes."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Fuck!" So eventually, at this point, I wasn't playing HD games. I didn't even know what the fucking HDMI was.
Yep.
And I didn't know there was a slot on the back of the
Thing that allowed for it.
PS3. I just took the plug, the AV cables, and the red, yellow, and white cables, and plugged them into my box CRT television. Excuse me. And that's how I gamed for until 2012,
I
probably.
think so. I remember the TV when we got the HD TV. I think it was probably 2012, 2013.
What year did BO2 come out? Can you look that up for
12
me?
off the top of my head?
Because that's when it changed over for me. Because I wanted to be able to have access to the internet. I convinced my parents to allow me to
2012
Nice.
on it.
I convinced my parents to allow me to move this 200 to 500 pound CRT television. Sony. This thing was so nice, dude. It must have been like, what do you think, 25 inches or something?
Oh, yeah.
Which is like huge for a CRT television.
That
32
thing,
maybe?
that thing,
don't
I
know.
remember being young, and I'm like, if that falls on me, I'm dead.
Yeah,
like,
you would have to get. I would have my friends come over, including Brady,
Yeah.
and my mom would be like, "Okay, you guys got to move the TV or whatever." And you would need like 4 people. When she wanted to move the TV, it was like me, my dad, Noah, and Brady, like
Yeah.
trying to move it up the stairs. And it's like if we slip and this just goes down, like Noah's getting crushed. Like
Yeah.
it's not good,
dude, our dad back in the day, the amount of times that he had to just move heavy shit up and down those stairs based off of what we wanted for, like, the guy was a legend. He was killing it.
So we would move into the office, and I would plug in the AV cables again, and that's where I played Uncharted 3. That's where
CS:GO?
I played. Yeah, I played Counter-Strike Go when it came out on
I remember
PS3.
playing some Counter-Strike on that PlayStation
Yep.
too. It was a good time.
That's where I played Mass Effect 2 and 3. Like I was not experiencing these games the way that you were supposed to be experiencing them. I didn't know any better. I didn't know I had the capability of HD television.
So BO1 was 2010 then. That's what that rotation
Yeah.
means. BO1 was, I'm going to hop in here a little bit.
Yeah.
This is where I really started to game. We'll talk about our first game on the system where I will start hopping in with, I'll actually just go there. My first game on the system that I concrete remember like being like, this is my time to play a video game. Not I'm with Connor and playing a game. Not I'm with friends at a sleepover playing a game. But like this is going to be my first experience was
Uncharted 2.
it was Uncharted 2.
But it's real quick it's worth pointing out, like Nick played video games when we were kids.
Yeah.
He was not a gamer
No.
by any means. He was more into going out and doing
I played
social things, sports, friends.
Social all the time, friends. And for me, once again, if I was playing a game, it was over a friend's place playing the 360, and that
Right.
was Call of Duty, Halo, Gears, that generation. And then every now and then we'd play a game like Skate or something like just random that someone picked up. I remember we picked up a Tom Clancy game, and it was like a really bad Tom Clancy game. Tried that out for a night, stuff like that, where it was never like, oh, we're playing all of Mass Effect 2 tonight or something like that. And then if it was a story game, it was a Wii game. It was something like, hey, we're going to play Skyward Sword tonight, or hey, we're
Right.
going to go and play Mario Galaxy tonight. So when it came to the PlayStation, I don't think I started to play. We get it in 2009. I think the first time I played a game on it was 2010. Of like, this was the first time I'm like, this is my experience. I want to go and try this.
Alone. We played like Little Big
alone.
Planet
Exactly.
and stuff,
And for me, it was Uncharted 2. I had a surgery that took me out of commission, out of school for a week. On the first day, you're looped up and everything. So I was like, I can't play anything. I'm just watching movies or whatever. And then the next 4 days, I just had off school and I'm trying to recover. And I was like, cool, I'm going to play Uncharted 2. And I beat Uncharted 2 in 4 days. It's just all I did. I just played Uncharted 2 for 4 straight days during school hours. Then Connor would come home and then I lost the PlayStation and everything. And I remember there's a moment in Uncharted 2 where you have to toss a barrel. It's in the middle of the game. You have to toss
exactly what
a
you're
oil
saying.
barrel and blow it up and it comes down. That took me like 2 hours to figure out. I remember
Yeah.
this so vividly. To be like, I tried it, I walked down, tried it again, walked down.
When we were on the vineyard and we're off the grid, no internet, can't access the internet. We had no Wi-Fi or anything.
Yeah.
I got stuck on a puzzle.
Yep.
And like had to ask Dad to take me to a coffee shop, to a place that like had Wi-Fi, look up the puzzle, and be like, okay, this is how we do it, and then go back and fix it.
Once
whatever.
again,
I was not good at puzzles.
Pop
at that point.
64 killing the game. But that was the first time I ever, like, when I talk about like beating a video game, I normally looked at Uncharted 2 to be like, that was the first game that was a lot that I beat. I remember doing Call of Duty like also around the same time with the BO1 campaign with friends and having that experience, and then things like Halo 3 and Halo Reach were also like going through those, and even Gears 3, like going through that experience with friends and trying that one out. And but like I remember this was my time to beat a game and have fun with it and everything, and it blew my fucking mind in a way that I remember after beating it that December. So I beat it in like 2010, late 2010, that December, I would have sleepovers and we would play the first 7 chapters of Uncharted 2 over and over again. On Saturday night, it would be we're playing Uncharted 2. And then a different group of friends would come over on Sunday because we'd have school off on Monday. And that Sunday night, we're playing Uncharted 2, but the first group, and then the second group, and like learning characters like Chloe and Finn and Sully, and like going on this grand adventure. This was one of those few moments that like, because like Connor said, I'm not a huge gamer, but like this was one of those things that like, this is the coolest shit ever. I need to show everyone. This game is also mature and funny and wild and just like,
it's not a kid's game. Which is what we kind of like.
They're saying shit and stuff like that.
They're swearing. Oh my god!
And so I remember there was a moment. I think I'm like 9 years old, and Sully is having an interaction with someone, and it says like shit or hell or damn like 3 times, and in the span of like 10 seconds, and our father's just like, "What the hell is that?" Like just like stuff like that. Yeah, very Christian household. And so growing up, like this was one of those really cool moments. But then for me, BO1 on the Connor smuggling BO1 into the house to play Call of Duty Zombies on a portable movie player that was DVD player. That was probably the size of Dark Cloud, like a horizontal.
I would put it on my lap like it was a handheld console with like my controller in my hands.
Yeah.
And that was like peak for me.
Oh,
I
was
was
awesome.
playing till the late. I wasn't allowed to have a TV in my room or anything.
Yeah.
So I snuck in BO1, snuck in the portable DVD player, got like some sort of adapter to be able to plug in with the AV cables, the PS3, and that was key.
And
so
then
I watched my first rated R movie on the web browser or whatever. Like,
and then we once again we're playing. Connor's playing that when the first day they smuggled it back. He's like, "You want to play split screen zombies?" And I think at this point I might have played zombies at a friend's house or something like that. I'm like, that's all I want to do right now. And literally playing it on a screen that was maybe vertically 3 inches tall, like for my own screen. And then you have 3 inches of top. We're talking like a 6 to 8 inch screen. It's just like, it was the coolest shit ever, though. We were having a phenomenal time playing Kino and having a great time there.
We'll talk more about that when we get to the outage, the PSN outage. But so the PS3 was a big turning point for me on like being into video games. Kind of like Nick was saying, Uncharted 2 like opened my mind to what video games could be. It was this toy that I played with when I was a kid, and then I play Uncharted 2, and I'm like, I can see myself playing this for the rest of my life. And now, obviously, I can definitely see myself playing this for the rest of my life. But there was a chance that I just fall off if I don't have that moment on the PS3. So it was big. It was very important. But so we own one now. Let's hop into some of the little ins and outs of the PS3 before we get into more specific game experiences. Let's talk about the cross media bar, the XMB. This thing was so cool to me. I already had a PSP at this point, so I had already experienced the cross media bar, but I was like, this is such a cool design for like a home screen. And then also just being able to have all of these different apps and stuff that you could like jump into. Like you had like a music player, you could watch Netflix on it, you could play Blu-rays on it. I was like, this is crazy. Like watching Netflix on PS3, I was like,
this is a game changer.
This is there must be some magic happening here to make this even function that I can't possibly understand. Now that it's like the norm, it's like, okay, like duh, like we understand how it works. It's like streaming or whatever. But back then I was like, this is magical. Like I don't understand how this works. So that was really cool and really special. But what do you think of the look of the home screen? You could also get themes and stuff.
I was about to say, themes are rad.
Even with the base level, like with just like the swirl, like the splash in the background, I was like, that shit looks awesome.
Yeah, this is a extremely cool design. Honestly, I think that the design, like, the aesthetic of it, not the practicality of it, is the best that we've ever seen in PlayStation history.
I prefer it to the PS5 personally.
Same. I do too.
I think the PS5 is just so over designed when it comes to its UI that I like the simplicity of the cross media bar. It was just slow.
It was very
really
slow.
slow.
Yeah. Especially if a game like starts, you put a disc in and it has to go and read the disc. The whole system is just trying its best. But I would think that it is sleek. I think that simplicity when it comes to something like just general UI is always what I want, whether we're talking about a media console or we're talking about even a game's UI. I just always want it to be as low key as possible, and it's pretty low key, even though it still is. Dude, when that like violin noise comes in, it's just like, that's sexy, dude. What the hell? Come on.
It's up there with the best of the PS3 startup sounds. I might like it more than the PS2 if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I know the PS2 is iconic because it has that visual aspect to it, but the PS3 was like sleek, dude. It was futuristic. It wasn't a toy anymore. It was like this boutique item. You know what I mean? That like it was like, ooh, fancy.
Hell yeah.
Real quick, want to talk about the PSN, the PlayStation Store, online gaming, free.
Oh yeah.
On the PS3. People were playing on Xbox, and I was like, these fucking dorks are paying $60 a year.
$60 a year.
Or something like that to play.
No, it was $60 a year, I think. Yeah, $5
Because
a month.
PSN was 50, or PS Plus was 50 when it eventually
Launched.
made you play online, allow you to play online on PS4. But that was such a big deal for us at that point. It was one of those situations where you don't realize how good you have until it's gone.
Yep.
That like I just took it for granted totally. But I was playing online shit all the time, and seeing the store and being able to download a video game was so crazy to me. Do you remember the first time you downloaded a game on PS3?
I think I don't remember games in particular. It's more the demo experience. When you brought that up, I was like, we played probably. I want to go conservative. Probably 30 hours though of demos, like on the PS3 total, like which is wild. But like, was there a Loco Roco demo on?
I think there was some.
Yeah, there was something there that I'm like, I remember that shit. Like the PS3's interface, it was all just like, this is a step up for technology. This is like Uncharted 2, step up for graphics. Like, but even the stuff like the PSN, I'm like, this is a step up for what we're gonna get in the future, which is now the truth of like, I mean, could imagine telling someone playing the PS3 about cloud play, they would crap their pants. But like, all of it worked for me in a way that I was like, this is the future, and it was cool.
Yeah, I downloaded Mass Effect 3 to my PlayStation, and it was 14 gigabytes, and it took 3 days.
Yeah.
And that wait was brutal, dude. The fact that 14 gigabytes back then took 3 days, and now I'm downloading a 100 gig game in like a couple hours.
For me,
wild.
I think that like I had to download Call of Duty to play some Warzone last year on a stream, and Warzone's like a 200 gig game, and I just boot up my Series X because my Series X always has storage on it. I would say like that. I don't have things like Tekken that's taking up 80 gigs or random stuff like that, like I do on my PS5 or Rock Band with all the DLC tracks. And I just go and I download it, and like I was like, all right, like they're getting on at like 9. It's 7. Is it going to be ready? And by like 8:15, a 200 gig download was done. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
And I was doing this over Wi-Fi, so I didn't even try. I didn't even know what an Ethernet cable was at that point, I don't think. But it was just a very strange, different situation for me after putting games into my console and just having them work for so long to have to download something. I was like, this sucks. This is the worst. I just want to be able to play it immediately. And it just was teasing me. And I was afraid it was going to like stop at some point or like corrupt or there would be some issue. So I was constantly checking it, being like, please download, please.
I remember this a lot.
And then it finishes downloading it, and then it needs to install after that, which takes another section of time. Oh my God, I
remember certain game downloads, and this might just be I'm a kid, everything's hyperbole, but like I remember it being like, this is gonna take 5 days. Like for some things, like you're like, it finished downloading, it's installing for another day. Like that was just what was up.
And then let's talk about the PSN outage. Do you remember this at all?
I remember it because you talking about it to me, and this being like an issue for you, but for me, I was just like, all right, I'm going to go play sports now. You know, like that. Once again, just trying to contextualize people because of how we got here and stuff like this. When we talk about something like the PS4, I'm a lot more involved. That was me purchasing a console, stuff like that, playing games with my friend, learning like what it is to really play video games. And then the PS5 has been such an all-in experience where I feel like I've played for the latest and greatest when it comes to the PS5, like a shit ton of stuff at this point. So, but the PS3 for me was just like things like the PlayStation outage. I was like, I'm going to play fucking two-hand touch with friends now. Like, I don't really care. Or I'm going to play Xbox or something else somewhere else. Somewhere else. And yeah, it was a good time. But for you, I felt like it was a lot more disastrous when it happened.
Yeah. So I had just gotten Black Ops 1 3 days before the PSN outage. So I played a little bit of multiplayer, was super excited about getting into the multiplayer grind, but was more excited about playing Call of Duty Zombies with my friends. And when I was a young lad, I was afraid of everything. I did not play horror games. I did not watch horror movies. I was not about anything scary. I was scared of the werewolf in Prisoner of Azkaban. I was that level of bad. I was scared of Scooby-Doo when I was a child. Like, that freaked me out, the monsters in Scooby-Doo. So, like, I was not good on anything. Call of Duty Zombies, I could generally handle playing it at friends' houses, but I did find it pretty spooky. Like, I did Kino der Toten. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's a horror experience to me.
I remember the first time playing Zombies, like, and we have lights on, and then I remember the first time playing it without lights on, and it was a different experience back in the day for sure.
And having somebody else in your ear, like talking to you and like learning the map and having a fun time, making jokes and everything helped so much when it came to me getting over my fear of Call of Duty Zombies. Then the PSN goes down and I'm stuck playing Ascension alone. And I'm like, I can't do this. I couldn't do it. I waited and waited for a month straight for the PSN to come back. And it was a legendary day when it did. Because I think that almost shortly after that, we got Call of the Dead.
Yeah.
And I was upset. Call of the Dead was my
shit
moment. Like, that's where I was like, okay, I'm going to play this for like 10 straight hours in one day, and my parents usually would not allow that, but I got it every once in a while where I could just stay inside and play video games all day, and I had friends that I was running the Easter eggs with and trying to do more and more stuff with it. So it was just a legendary experience, but the PSN outage was a moment, and I'm glad that I wasn't super involved in multiplayer games at that point, that I wasn't fiending necessarily for more like grinding for prestige at that point. So
for sure.
Yeah, that definitely helped. We've already kind of had a whole podcast about trophies. We don't really necessarily the introduction of them really cool here.
Yeah, for me, I cared about it's actually funny you say this. I think I cared more about trophies back then than I do now. Like, I would actually, like, for a game like Uncharted 2, I was like, oh, I'm going to try to collect as many treasures as possible. And nowadays, I'm just like, oh, is collecting treasures fun? Is it, like, if I see one, sure, but, like, it's not a priority to me. So stuff like that, I thought the trophies were a really cool thing back then. I think that they're still cool now, but not, like, something that I'm actually searching out for. But, like, 10-year-old me was like, that's really cool. I want to actually try to get some trophies.
Right. Last bit I want to talk about before the games, the most important part of the PS3. I want to talk about the console wars. I want to talk about how we felt about PlayStation 3 versus Xbox 360, what it was like to be a PS3 owner during this time. How did that make you feel?
It's really funny because for me, we were PS3 owners, but I was like almost upset that we were PS3 owners. I was like, why can't we be an Xbox owner? Because all my buddies had Xboxes. All your friends happen to have PS3s, and it worked out really well.
Luckiest situation ever. I cannot believe that happened.
But apparently it's not the most insane thing ever because there was more PS3s than Xboxes sold. But for me, I was just like, yeah, I got a PlayStation, but all my friends were like, that's pretty cool because you get to go and like play some of these other games that we don't have. But once again, the issue of that entire generation was, sure, you have this awesome exclusive lineup of the PS3 and everything, but the Xbox has Halo, and I'm going to play 500 hours of Halo. And that was sort of it. Like, it was the trump card of all trump cards and everything. So to go and have a PS3 back then, it was tough. It really was. Like, I felt like all of my friends were having fun without me being the PS3 person, especially though when it came to console wars, it was like, when I got my chance to play the PS3, whenever you were not playing it or you were away for a weekend or something like that, I was always like, I just get to play by myself. I don't get to play with friends because none of my people had PS3s.
I had a friend who was like really into 360, really into the console war aspect of talking about these games. Grant, he loved Halo. I don't think he was super into Gears, but he loved Halo. But during that time, it was really crazy to see Gears and Halo punch back at PlayStation. And I knew that PlayStation was like, I was learning more at this point. I was listening to Podcast Beyond. I got more of the picture of the whole PlayStation Sony brand. I started watching E3s and got a little bit more swept up in the console war aspect of everything. And I cared about it then, but I wasn't as like into it as some other people were, of like really wanting to see Xbox 360 fail or the next Xbox fail. Like I just was wanting to be justified in my purchase, I guess, which my purchase is funny because I got gifted it for Christmas, but the thing that I was playing on, I wanted it to be better. And when I look back on how I felt at that time, I did think that the PS3 was way better, even with what was going on 360. I think you look at the two libraries, it's not even close. Frankly, I do not think that the 360 library stands close to the PS3 when it comes to first party output. I know that there's some games that run better on 360 that are third party, but a lot of these games are coming to both consoles. And if there is a downgrade, I wasn't privy to it. I didn't know that like the better version of Mass Effect 2 was on 360 than PS3. I just was playing Mass Effect 2 and enjoying it. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on a lot. The only thing I felt like I was really missing out on was Halo. And going to friends' houses and playing Halo, I was like, this is fun. And I do think going through the campaign, split screen was like a lot of fun. We would do that like at sleepovers and stuff. But I wasn't like, oh man, I need to get Halo in my life. I did eventually break and get a 360 for Halo 4.
Yep.
And played the hell out of Halo 4. And then
that Thanksgiving break, right? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I clear as day. I remember falling asleep on the couch watching you play Halo 4, waking up the next morning, and like, I don't know if you stayed up all night or you woke up early the next morning, but like there was no time in between, but there was a lot of game time that passed.
I think I stayed up all night.
Yeah, I think so.
I was staying up all night to play video games at that point pretty often.
Yeah.
But
Dead Space, another one that I feel like you were up all night.
I finished Dead Space and then started Dead Space 2
yeah.
the same night, and it was awesome, dude. But yeah, like I wanted some aspects of the 360. I thought party chats were really cool. We didn't have that on PS3. So I think the 360 was just such a moment for a lot of people, and came out at a time that was so like influential in their lives because they were like they were teenagers, like, and that was where you really started to be social and making friends over 360, or like having friends at school and then adding them on 360 and playing games together was so essential. I was doing that on PS3, and I was like, I got free internet or whatever, free PlayStation, so online, so I can play with my friends, and that was really awesome. But I did care about the console wars, is my point, but I wasn't super into it in the same way that a lot of people are now. I could not care less.
I did add to our podcast topics doc. I was like remembering E3 and just like going through those moments and everything. We need to do one of those, because for me, the console wars discussion I didn't give a shit about till E3.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's Xbox got? What's PlayStation got? I think that conversation, that exact phrasing of what has Xbox got, what's PlayStation got me more into video games than literally anything else, because as somebody that grew up loving sports, it was, we got teams.
Yeah, it's competition.
Let's root, and I want to root for something. Give me a jersey, right? Like let's go and have fun. And
I never wanted to see 360 like fail, but I wanted to see them punch each other.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? With games, with awesome video
I want
games.
awesome games on both sides, and especially too for me, it was like cool. I have the PS3 at home, and then I have friends with the 360, and so like this was an awesome opportunity to go and play those games together. And that did a ton for me, moving the needle.
And E3 was so important for us. I mean, that will be a fun podcast, an E3 retrospective, and just talking about our experience with it, because I have a lot, and a lot of it was from this era, the PS3 360 era.
For me, I like E3, because the hardest part is, I think the most definitive memory that we have when it comes to all game trailer reveals is The Last of Us Part 2. For like seeing that trailer, like I remember we didn't talk about it necessarily, but you were the person that told me that the trailer was out.
I was in college at that point.
You were in college.
Yeah.
I was in high school. And I didn't know what was happening with you watching it, but you told me the trailer's out. I think you just texted me the trailer. And for me, I was in my buddy's basement. Two guys were playing ping pong. I'm on the couch watching my buddy play GTA 5. And I get the trailer and I watch the trailer and I'm like, this is one of the greatest moments of my entire life. And then hearing that you had a similar experience, like you're crying, this was heavily important to you and everything. that's what I think when I think of video game trailers, and that's not E3. But then there's like 20 other memories that come up
Yeah.
with E3 stuff.
I miss just the stage performance of the whole thing and hearing the crowd go wild
Yeah.
and clap. It was so fun. People
Well-
screaming their heads off when something gets revealed
Yeah.
that they didn't even know could possibly be happening. Like, it was the best.
It's
It's so
for-
human. Like, it is
Yeah.
what I miss that human aspect of directs. Directs are really fun, but the best part of directs half the time is seeing people's reaction to Smash Bros. Characters being announced after the fact.
I think that I feel extremely blessed that during the current moment, or let's talk about before even the channel, before even 2021, when we started to react to showcases together and everything and do that as a staple of our content. I like getting to watch E3s and stuff like that with watching the Kind of Funny crew react to it. And then as the pandemic sort of picked up and everything, and it's 2020, even though it's from home, watching it with friends and having that type of experience was so important to like be with other people and have a moment. And when you're watching E3, no matter if you're watching it solo and you're just watching the IGN stream, it being with a theater of other people, it feels like all cheering for something. It feels like you're part of that, and that was so important and so cool.
All right, let's hop into some of our favorite games. We both brought a top 10 list. We are going to go 10 to 1. Do you want to do honorable mentions first? Do you
I
any
have one
mentions?
honorable mention. My honorable mention is GTA 5. I think that GTA 5 is like one of the best games ever, and I adore it. And like this list has been really funny. I was talking to Connor because I'm like, greatness of video games is something I don't rank often. Like I really try to not do it.
This is my favorites.
Oh, this is just top 10 favorites?
Yeah.
I just did best.
All right.
Yeah, but I think that these are also my favorites. Like this is one of those, I think that they both coincide pretty well.
I do not think some of the games on my top 10 are the best games on PS3.
That's fair. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to GTA 5 because I just adore it.
There's a lot of games that I think are really important to the PS3 that aren't going to hit my top 10, but on any given day, I could see hitting that 10 spot. So just some quick honorable mentions. Ni no Kuni, what a special video game. Never beat it. Laura's beaten it. Yep. I think that game is so magical and so wonderful, and the characters and the world and the art design. Studio Ghibli, level 5, like match made in heaven. Like, why are we so lucky to get something like that? It's so cool. I love Ni no Kuni so much. Dead Space, of course, super important to me of getting over my fear of horror games.
Yeah.
Did not know I was buying a horror game. Got through the first 15 minutes and my head was sweating. I remember feeling like my head moisture on my head being like, am I dying? Like, I can't do this. I'm afraid. And then eventually I kept going forward and would do 15 minutes and then do 30 minutes and an hour. And it was like, okay, I've gotten over it. I can handle necromorphs in Dead Space. So that was awesome.
I was 22 when I played Dead Space on stream, and I couldn't handle necromorphs.
Yeah.
Those things are still terrifying.
Journey changed the way that I look at indie games. Looked at smaller games. Like every single time I played a game during that era, I was like thinking of Uncharted or Mass Effect 2 and stuff like that, like big AAA God of War 3. But Journey is a 2-hour game that I heard won Game of the Year for, I think, IGN. And I was like, damn, dude, like, how, I can't believe that's even a thing. And I ended up downloading it.
What year did
crying.
Journey come out?
2012.
Okay, I thought so.
It was between that and The Walking Dead at the Spike Game Awards, I think, is what a lot of people were thinking. And I think The Walking Dead won.
I do too.
Don't hold me to that.
I'm curious. I'm looking it up.
The Spike Game Awards, man. Was Jeff Keighley running that as well? Was he helping out with that? I feel like
At that point, I think he was still helping.
Yeah. BioShock. I don't need to say anything else about BioShock.
It was The Walking Dead.
That's funny. Portal 2, incredibly important game. Very impressive. Not my favorite game. I just think that it's just kind of a marvel that it works the way that it does, and how they added to that game from the first one, I think is so impressive, so good.
If we were to do favorites, my list would be it would just be different order, but I think it would be the same games. Yeah.
Last up, Resistance 3. I played through the Resistance game 1, 2, and 3 in a row. I think it just gets progressively better and better. I don't have it in my top 10 because I need to do a replay.
Yeah.
I don't really remember the nitty gritty, the very specific stuff.
Right now, you're about to go and take the converter home for the PS3. Maybe after Sonic 06, you palate cleanse with one of your favorite PS3 games and do something like that.
That would be awesome. So, without further ado, Nick,
10
what is
to
your
1?
number 10?
My number 10 is Little Big Planet.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Not
just
2.
not 2, mainly because I have fonder memories of playing 1 and like learning the level creation and everything. I 2 might be a better game, but like for me, the memories are stronger with 1, and it's also just so freaking rad. Little Big Planet's awesome.
My number 10 is Little Big Planet 2.
Nice.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, level creation. I wasn't smart enough to really get that deep into it, but playing other people's levels, seeing that creativity on display, I thought was just so cool. And like I said, when it comes to like the multiplayer online experience, being able to play other people's levels was mind blowing for me back in the day of like, just even getting to play with other people was cool, but being able to play other people's stuff, it's like, what the fuck? This is awesome.
Little Big Planet 2, I actually probably should have put over 1. That's thinking about what I'm trying to do with this list, which is, I guess, best. Because I do think Little Big Planet 2 is a better game, and I have great memories with it, but 1 is just iconic. So that's at my number 10.
My number 9 is PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
Not on my list. What? We got to remember, you and Brady probably played, and like your squad probably played what, 300-400 hours of PlayStation All Stars?
Just all the time.
I probably played 30 hours of PlayStation All Stars, and these other games are either leaps and bounds better, or I have more personal attachment.
I wasn't a Smash Bros. Purist by any means. I wasn't a Nintendo guy. The first time I played Smash Bros. Was Brawl.
Same.
Loved it. Thought it was
Brawl's so
awesome.
cool.
But like, I didn't pick up a Wii U, so I wasn't like on the Smash 4 train. I didn't own a N64. I didn't own a GameCube, so I wasn't playing Melee or anything like that. Like, I just going to friends' houses on occasion. I don't even think I played Melee until after.
It would be at church or something like that if you did.
I don't think I ever played it there either.
Yeah, that checks.
I seriously think there's a chance that the first time I played Super Smash Bros. Melee was at Brady's when he got a GameCube from a flea market when I was in college.
That's wild.
So like I really loved Brawl, and then everyone was screaming at me online being like, you can't like Brawl or whatever, because everyone says Brawl is the worst one. But
can we this is one of my hot takes that we just shot was Tears of the Kingdom versus Breath of the Wild. I'm not going to say that Brawl is a better game than Melee or anything like that, but I like that we're now hopefully at the point that we can just be like, Brawl was freaking awesome. I think Brawl might be a better game than Smash Wii U. Like it.
I don't
it's
know.
Tough.
People talk about technical aspects and little details for those games that I don't even really pay attention to or understand.
For me, it's
fully.
like stages, the story, stuff like that. Subspace Emissary is just so fucking rad that I'm like, can we just call it a spade and say that game's better?
But Smash 4 rules.
Yeah, it's so good.
But people also,
I love Smash 4.
People talk about it like it sucks now. I don't know.
Smash 4, the issue with Smash 4 is the Nintendo Wii U sold 10 million copies. So if you're saying, like, if you're trying to like dunk on Smash 4, there's a really good chance that you didn't even play it.
I played it a bunch in college.
I played it a shit ton in high school.
Until Ultimate came out.
Yeah.
So
my number 9.
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't really extrapolate on
sorry.
real fast. Yeah, PlayStation All-Stars, I love the cast of characters. I was a huge PlayStation fan, obviously, but it's really the overtime system that hooked us all in. Whenever you play Smash Bros, you do stock.
Yep.
That's what everybody does. You have lives. But in this, we always did timed, and you get points for getting kills or negative points for dying. And there were so many times where we would end up in overtime matches, and it would go 2, 3, 4, 5 overtime. And those moments were maybe the highlight of my childhood.
Yeah.
So,
it's something that Smash in general lacks. Like because the overtime system allows for 4 players and for the math to be insane enough where like you can only get 1 kill and somebody can get 3 kills, but they died so many times that it just works out and stuff like that. That is just, it would not exist in most fighting games. And this one's a silly, goofy one, so it does.
Right.
My number 9 is BO2. Raid, Hijacked. The Peacemaker AR, just running that with the AN94. I can turn this whole thing into like, let's just name like the Celtics in the 80s of just random players and like going and hyping them up. For me, I can do that with just random weapons maps and zombies maps. So Buried, Mob of the Dead, Origins, all of them are all timers.
You're going to be waiting a minute for me when it comes to BO2.
Yeah.
It's on the list.
All right.
Next up is Infamous 2. just a super special experience when it comes to the upgrade between 1 and 2. I think Infamous 2 is a way better game. Got it on Black Friday, walked to our local Meijer at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, whenever it opened at that point, and picked up the game for like $20 because it was on sale. Went home, played it all day, and I ripped through that game fast. But the different powers, super fun, super enjoyable to just be in that world, be in that city. Love me some Infamous 2. Would like to replay that at some point as well.
With my number 8, it comes with a announcement, I guess, of some sort. I am bumping my score down for this one, half a point from a 9.5 to a 9. And this is why it lands here when we're talking about like best stuff. It's Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is one of the best games ever. If you're a 9 out of 10, you are one of the best games ever. Like, that is a extremely high score. I love the cast in playing through that last year on the collection and everything, and like, it blew my fucking mind. Like, this game is an all-timer. It is one of the greatest games ever. For me, it's not the GOAT. It's not in that top 5 category. It's not in the top 20 category, but it's one of the greatest games ever. And I adore Mass Effect 2. I adore Thane and Garrus and Jack. Just like, these were my people, like, and I was ready to like die for this crew. A comparison, I guess, is the Metaphor cast, where I'm like, I bring them up in the same sort of mindset of like, these are just all-time casts for me. It's awesome.
My next up is GTA 4. What I really want to harp on here, because I've talked about this game a lot, is playing a mature video game for one of the first times. Of like, I know that Call of Duty was mature, like M-rated, but it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel like it was like dealing with really mature themes or anything, or had like inappropriate jokes and stuff like that. This was like, oh my God, like, I feel like I'm playing a game for adults.
Yeah.
And that was such a mind-blowing experience for me. I thought it was super fun, and just going from mission to mission, grinding those out, laughing my ass off, shooting bad guys as Nico Bellic. Cousin, let's go bowling, dude. Like, it was awesome. I thought it was super fun and mature, and I still love it today.
Maybe before GTA 6 comes out, I don't know if it's a subathon or a marathon or something. We need to get my ass to play through 4.
Yeah.
And maybe we do a 4 or 5 back-to-back sort of deal leading into 6.
It's a grind, though. I mean, like, you're playing a lot of missions in these, dude.
Yeah, you really are. All right, my number, I don't have numbers to them, but it is 10 through 1. My number 7 we're on right now. Metal Gear Solid 4. Guns of the Patriot. This game's fucking unbelievable. And I was going back and forth between where I was going to put Mass Effect 2 or Guns of the Patriot. I have them both as 9 out of 10s now. They're like, because in retrospect, I'm like, I think Guns of the Patriot is a better video game. Super cinematic. Kojima, top of his game.
Doing his thing. By the time this goes up, we might know when Death Stranding 2 is coming out.
That's a great point. I'm breaking down the set. I'll probably throw that on while I'm doing some editing. Dude, like, I need you to play Metal Gear Solid 3, but I don't think people put enough respect on how much of an Avengers Endgame level moment Metal Gear Solid 4 was nowadays. Where, like, when people talk about the Metal Gear series, they're like, 1's an all-timer, 2's ending, 2's twist, 2's everything there. 3 is just through and through one of the greatest action adventure games ever. And then you get to 4, and I feel like no one's hyping it up the way that they need to. This game is cinematic. This game is badass. You got Old Man Snake on the cover. Like, even the intro to this game and the TV, I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's just like, what the fuck? The iPod in this game, random shit, is just so cool. The boss fights in every Metal Gear Solid game are terrific. This has some of the best. Like, I'm so shocked that when we started, I kind of knew this would happen, but when we started up what is Co-op 64, I really hoped that I would have something to get close to how much I love Final Fantasy VII. Like, I never thought that I would love, because like I think favorites or whatever, I adore The Last of Us. I adore Final Fantasy VII. I was like, I just want something to get remotely close to that feeling and emotion, because like, it's really hard to capture something that is so important. The Metal Gear Solid franchise in 2020 4 did that for me in like a real concrete way, and 4 is one of the best.
Metal Gear Solid 4 is the best and most innovative game on the PS3. Kojima consistently moves the industry forward, and this game is his best example of this. The game showed just how far the jump from PS2 to PS3 could be more than anything of its generation, and that is from Nomad.
Yeah, shout out Nomad, dude. That's great writing. And for me, it's my number 7, meaning that there's somehow 6 better titles than Metal Gear Solid 4 on the write-in or for my top 10 list.
Next up for me is The Wolf Among Us.
Nice.
Fell in love with The Walking Dead, the game. Thought it was one of the most emotional, amazing stories in video games. Great characters, great cast, great choices. Played it 3 or 4 times on different consoles, on the PS3 a couple times, on the Vita a couple of times. Loved it. I think The Wolf Among Us is the superior experience. I love that world so much. I know it comes from a comic or a graphic novel or whatever, but for me, it was my first time experiencing it, and being in that world was so special and so magical. I love those characters. I love the design of the art design and how the game even looks. The writing is impeccable. The voice acting is excellent. Go play The Wolf Among Us. It's fantastic. That's my number 6.
With my number 6, I'm going to go with Portal 1. Portal 1 is really close to perfect. It's just a little short. I think that that's the only thing that you can knock against it.
I prefer that personally.
And I think that some of the puzzles, because it's the first entry, are a little bit basic, especially early on, because they're just introducing you, hey, this is what you're doing. But like, I also think that they are a little bit hand-holdy at the very start of that game. Once again, we're talking about an all-timer. If somebody said that Portal 1 was the greatest game of all time, I would not blink an eye. Like, that would just, sure. But yeah, other than that, I can't say much more. Welcome to Aperture Science, dude. Like,
there you go.
It's awesome.
Next up for me is Uncharted 2, a very important
at number
video
5.
Game. Yeah, I mean, I have,
at number 5. That's blasphemy.
Let's go over what we have above it, and you'll see exactly why.
Yeah.
When it comes to favorites, the stuff that I played a ton that I still feel very strongly about. I feel very strongly about Uncharted 2. We've kind of talked about this game ad nauseum at this point during this podcast. I'm gonna just leave it there. Uncharted 2, special game. Action-packed masterpiece.
My number 5 is BioShock, Welcome to Rapture.
Nice.
That's it. I like it. We're playing on stream right now. I feel like we've talked, I discussed it on what we've been playing recently. Like, I love BioShock. I think it's an all-timer. I think that Atmosphere, Ken Levine, is the best in the biz. Welcome to Rapture.
You're
number
gonna
5.
miss the best part too on stream.
Well, no, this is coming out after the fact. We can say it. Yeah, I miss the moment in this game.
Yeah.
And that does immensely blow. But yeah, I will be tuning in for sure.
Next up for me is Call of Duty Black Ops 2. This was my online multiplayer moment. You know how like you've talked about you with Reach. Going to friends' houses and just playing the multiplayer with people. For me, it was every single waking moment that I could possibly be playing Black Ops 2, I was running home to do it. I take the backpack off after school, go into the basement, lock in, play multiplayer matches with friends, and then being like, you know, hop over to zombies, play some zombies, get far, die early, doesn't matter. Either run another one or pop back over to multiplayer, go play some private matches, do quick scopes, play Mike Myers or whatever it was. Like, we were having a blast. We were playing this game just every which way you could every single day. We would take our consoles over to other people's houses and play like on separate screens but in the same room. It was awesome. Like, I'll never forget those times. Like, it was maybe my favorite point of my entire life of just like, you're so free and you can do whatever the hell you want on the weekends and everything, and you have a set schedule, but you have so much free time that it's like you can.
And hours used to feel like hours compared to the minutes they now feel like.
It was special. It was awesome. So Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
With my number 4.
My number 4 is Uncharted 2, which is funny because I gave you so much shit for putting it at number 5. No, Uncharted 2 is just like one of the most immensely special games in my life. But once again, this isn't a favorite list. This is a best list for me. And if it was a favorite list, it would be in the number 3 slot, which is really close. Maybe number 2, but probably number 3 slot. So that's going to sit softly at number 4 for me.
At number 3 for me is Final Fantasy 13.
Whoa, I forgot that would be
Yeah.
on this.
Special game, man. I love Final Fantasy 13. I love these characters. I love the combat. I love the world. And thank goodness I played this game when I did, because I think I could see myself not being into JRPGs at all at this point in my life, if not for Final Fantasy 13. It kind of like was another checkpoint of falling back in love with those kinds of games and wanting to go back and play stuff that was coming out in the future. And I tried to get into Final Fantasy because I loved Kingdom Hearts. Tried Final Fantasy X when I was a kid, hated turn-based combat. I was like, no, this is boring, this is slow, I'm not doing this. And then 13 came out and it looked amazing. If you just like went off of visuals alone, it was like one of the most gorgeous games ever. I still think today, you boot up Final Fantasy 13, it goes toe-to-toe with a lot of modern video games. It looks really good.
It does.
It's got style out the ass, dude. And playing that then, being excited about it, games got at that point were $60, I think, which was more than it was on PS2. And when I didn't have a job at that point. It was me asking my mom if I could if they could buy me a video game if I wanted something that wasn't for my birthday or for Christmas. So I remember being like, "Can we get this?" And she's like, "It's $60." No, like you're 12 years old. I'm not buying you a $60 video game or whatever. So I waited and waited for a sale. Saw online that it was down to like $35. Went into the GameStop. They said it's only for online. You can't. That's how much it is if you order it. I've never ordered a video game online in my life. I was like, what are you talking about? But I'm in line behind somebody, and I'm about to pick up Final Fantasy 13, and the guy in front of me gets a free Brady Games, I think, guide which is like a brand, not Brady, our friend. Brady Games guide for Final Fantasy 13, and he doesn't want it. And he turns to me and he's like, "Do you want this adult man?" And I'm like, standing behind him, 12 years old. I'm like, "Yes." I was like, "That is awesome. I'm about to get this game and now I have this guide." And I go up to the counter and he's like, "No, it's $60. I was like, "No, it's not. It's $35. And like, please." And then I go back to the car with the guide only. And I'm like, "Mom, I can't buy it or whatever. Like, it's not the price that says it is online." So we ordered it online, and that was the longest 2 weeks of my fucking life. I was just waiting and waiting, wanting that game so badly. Finally comes in the mail. I played it until 5 a.m. that day. I got to chapter 4, which is like far into that game. I think there might be 13 chapters. No, there's 16 chapters, 16 or 17. Because I know chapter 14 is where it opens up finally. But yeah, I love Final Fantasy 13.
There are 13 chapters.
Really? Mm-hmm. What chapter chapter 12 do you go into the open world?
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't know if you pulled up a walkthrough or something.
No, I just I'm
going to look it up when you're talking next. But I yearn to play Final Fantasy 13 once every couple of years. I'm feeling it right now. I just played Final Fantasy 10. You know what a way better game is than Final Fantasy 10? Final Fantasy 13. Like, I think the cast slaps it. I think the story is amazing in both of those games, but I think it's even better in 13. I think the combat is the best turn-based combat in the series. So, yeah.
This is a fun one where it's just like I think that if you watch the channel enough, you can guess my top 3 pretty easily. My number 3 is Rock Band.
You count that as PS3?
Came out in 2007.
So I know that but we played it on PS2. That is a PS2 game.
I don't care. It's a PS3 game to me. I played Mass Effect, I played Mass Effect 2 on an Xbox Series X, Connor.
I guess that's fair. That's the thing is, I'm kind of talking about my experience with the PS3. Just if something like, if I fell in love with Skyrim on PS4, I wouldn't even associate that with PS3.
For me, I associated with the time of the PS3 release and everything. Yes, we did play that mostly on PS2 and everything. Rock Band is... I want to just brief story because I feel like I talk about this song in particular often, but the Strokes are my second favorite band ever. I love music a lot. And the Strokes have always been a weird band for me where for a while, if you asked me when I was like 19, 20 years old, Strokes wouldn't be in my top 10. And I've been listening to the Strokes since I've been 5 years old, 6 years old. Like I've known about the Strokes. I've enjoyed the Strokes. But when I associate Rock Band with one thing. It is Reptilia by the Strokes. And that then allowed me to, after the Rock Band basically opened the window for me to go and get invested into now my second favorite band ever. So there's part of that. I want to throw that out there. When we're talking about like favorites, there's a good chance that this would be my second favorite on the console. I can make a damn case that it's my favorite on the console because of how important that set list is to me. And then you bring in things like fucking Boston's Foreplay Long Time, The Who's Won't Get Fooled Again, Nine Inch Nails, The Hand That Feeds. Like, we can go over every single song on this track list is a fucking banger. Just all timer. And when you go and say, okay, we got the set list. We got the axes. How can we make this one of the most genre defining moments in any game ever? Let's add in the mic and let's add in the drum set. And as somebody that loves music, like, it is arguably my favorite thing behind video, or it's my second favorite thing behind video games now. This game is the peak of that. It is. If I was talking to someone and they were like, Guitar Hero is better than Rock Band, I think that is definitively incorrect because the addition of the mic and the drums. Like, we're talking about, okay, so you had half of what this game has. Even at its best, you still only had half of it because the drums and I mean, you can even argue a third of it because it's still just a guitar. You're adding two different functions to it. That is so much of a jump in the genre. And as somebody that, like, I'm pretty sure I wanted to learn drums because of Rock Band. And I know that there are thousands of people that try to learn guitar because of Guitar Hero and Rock Band. And that is so fucking cool. So Guitar Hero it's like, I can make a case that I think it is a perfect video game. I think it's a genre defining moment in all of video games. It is the best rhythm game ever. And rhythm games, like, are fucking rad in general. Hi-Fi Rush is one of my favorite games ever. Rock Band caused Hi-Fi Rush to be one of my favorite games ever, though. So Rock Band's at my number 3.
I love me some Rock Band, so can't really complain there. I just, like I said, I associated with the PS2. So
by the way, the 3, 2, and 1 are all masterpiece scores for me. So
number 2 is The Last of Us for me. It's The Last of Us. It was such a moment for seeing that game at E3.
Oh yeah,
what the fuck?
Wait, not at Keeley's.
Seeing at the Game Awards first. Yeah. Was a cool reveal. Seeing, like, the Naughty Dog logo, was like, damn, this looks awesome. I'm excited for this after having played Uncharted. And then they showed the gameplay demo at E3 of, like, that Pittsburgh sequence, and then I was like obsessed. Yep. I showed it to Brady in my basement one morning, and I was like, he stayed over that night, and I was like, Brady, you need to watch this trailer. Like, let's get excited about this video game. And I showed it to him, and he was like, I'm in. Yeah. And then we all got it day one, and we're super stoked about it. It's what more is there to be said about The Last of Us?
I think that The Last of Us, for us and many other people on the planet, changed their lives. Not made them really invested in video games. Not, oh, this was a cool moment in 2013, but it shifted the plates of our entire worlds. So, yeah.
What do you got for number 1?
My number 2.
Oh,
still.
Dang, sorry.
My number 2 is Portal 2. Nice. Another masterpiece. Portal 2, when we're talking about the acceptable answers for greatest game of all time, I bring this up often of just, like, I've heard some wild ones in my day, you know? Like, there are, in my opinion, even though it's all subjective, and I totally understand that, and, like, once again, if your favorite game you believe is the best game ever, and that's the opinion you want to carry, that is totally fine by me. I am not always right, and in this circumstance, I might not be. But if somebody told me something like, I don't know, Cookie Mama was, like, definitively the greatest game ever, I'd be like, that's a little bit wild.
But it is.
Portal 2 is, in my opinion, like, one of the most correct answers a human can have. If the aliens came down and were like, what's a video game? Portal 2 is one of the first few games that I'm uttering. Like, I'm just like, this is as good as it gets, dude. It's as good as it gets.
The aliens come down. I got Iguodala.
Fate of the universe on the line. One shot. I give me Iguodala. Oh my gosh,
Legendary first take moment.
dude! I've been on like a first take TikTok binge. Just Stephen A. Smith has been. Did you see the interaction with him and LeBron
Yeah, I
blowing up
did.
and everything? And so just like I think I watched that video and then it spiraled me, and like seeing some of Skip Bayless's old takes, and then like Colin Coward.
Yeah.
Seeing some of those guys' takes where they're just so wrong.
Yeah,
like
the best.
it's part of the job.
Yeah.
I mean in 2021 we predicted when the Switch 2 would come out, and we were like, it's got to come out this year. People are wrong about things on podcasts and takes and all of the time. But
Did I say that?
I think that both of us at the start of 2021 thought there would be a Switch Pro.
Switch Pro.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think we did not think that there would be a Switch 2 though.
Yeah, we thought that there would be an upgrade to the system.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I thought. But I was like, don't put those words in my mouth. I wouldn't say that.
All right, what's your number one?
My number one is Mass Effect 2. I know this is associated with 360 for a lot of people. I totally get that. But Mass Effect 2 has one of the best casts in video games. Getting the crew together is such a fun experience for me. I love those kinds of stories. And the replayability of this game is the key for me when it comes to making different choices, having different characters die or not die. Trying to perfect that final mission is super fun. The collectors are a great villain. You can just hop into Mass Effect 2 without playing 1 and enjoy it. So, yeah, love it.
My number one is The Last of Us. It is was for a long time my favorite game ever. So that's sort of the like extra boost that I like made it a little bit more clear to me to go and put it over something like Portal 2. I cannot decide what's a better game between Portal 2 and The Last of Us. Don't ask me. I couldn't choose that. But for me, The Last of Us is the greatest story ever told, 1 and 2. We did a Drunk Explains. Go check that out over on YouTube. Recently with Brady and I going through that story. And The Last of Us 1, I think that if I am on my deathbed and I have like 10 hours left to live and I'm capable, I want to play The Last of Us 1. I want to do it around my friends and family.
I
want to. You can't beat The Last of Us 1 in 10 hours on normal?
No. That's a 12,
What?
That's a 12-hour minimum game, Nick.
Me and
Let me look this up.
yeah, I'm pretty sure me and my roommate did it in 9 hours, and that was the last time I played it. Like, or him and I just going back and forth. We did it in 3 streams.
The Last of Us is a 15-hour video game.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. How?
I think you're thinking of Uncharted.
No, I'm not. It says 50. No way.
Yeah.
I'm looking for videos.
14 and a half hours for... I mean, you can beat it in less time.
I
Skip the
understand.
cutscenes.
How long is... Okay, a full walkthrough on PC is 5 hours. I'm not... I
No,
swear.
it's not.
I mean, that's literally... Somebody did a full playthrough
That's
in 5 hours.
impossible. I mean, it might be a speed run. That's crazy.
I'm just saying... I remember it might have been 4 streams. It might have been 12 hours or something. Or maybe... Fuck it. It might have been 5. But... This is a game that, like, I joke around. I'm like, I've played 20 times. I've played this game over 10 times. I've experienced this story over 10
Me
times.
too.
And it never ceases to make me cry and make, like, the end of that game makes me feel things that I don't know if I've ever felt in my entire life. And I don't know if I will ever feel again. Like, it is heart-wrenchingly beautiful. And it is one of my favorite things ever. So, it's number one.
Right on. Love me some Last of Us.
Let's talk Patreon members.
Nope, we got a few write-ins real
Oh,
fast.
we got write-ins. Thank you so much for writing in, for all the people that wrote in. Also, if we don't read your write-in, we got a lot of submissions, I assume. So just a heads up there.
Yeah, we did. And I only wanted a few of them
Yeah.
because I didn't know how long this discussion was going to be. We'll adjust accordingly after this first one to see if we need the submissions to fill out the episode
Yeah.
or whatever. But I do think they added a nice little spice just to hear
Yeah,
what you
shout
guys have
out
to say.
who said that Metal Gear Solid 4 is the GOAT.
Well, I got to find which one it was.
I'm sorry about that, but that's a great take. I love that take.
It was Nomad.
Nomad.
Let's talk about this writing from Salazar. Quite possibly my favorite console of all time, either this or the PS4. This was the gen where I had my own income, so any game that I wanted, I could get. Top 5 games for PS3 are God of War 3, Uncharted 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, Uncharted 2, The Last of Us. That's from Salazar Naruto 52. You think this guy likes Naughty Dog?
Wait, can I get a little tilt on that top 5 list? Yeah, no. Uncharted 3 needs a... But neither of us shouted that one out. That game, it's really funny. I forget how cool the intro to that game was. It wasn't the train sequence, but going and being suited and booted and then beat the shit out of some guys. It's a ton of fun. It's a really good game.
With the Last of Us ad in there on the newspaper.
Yep.
Remember that? People were peeling over that, being like, "Is this the next Naughty Dog game?" And it's very much so. God of War 3, so good. That was my first God of War game. Looks amazing, plays amazing. Those boss fights are
Real
so
quick,
cinematic.
I don't want to spoil it, but I'm just trying to see if I remember this properly. You climb a very large something at the start of that game.
Come on, very large. I think it's later in the game, but you climb. Yeah, you climb things in the start of the game.
I'm just throwing that out there because I think I remember watching you play the opening of God of War 3.
Yeah,
and we're remembering the PS3, Connor.
I didn't own a PS3, but my best buddy and next door neighbor did. I almost always watched him play solo player games, but one weekend at a sleepover, he let me play a game of my choosing by myself. His parents were out of town, so for once we got to play uninhibited on the downstairs TV, and I decided to try out Dragon Age Origins. The downstairs TV thing is funny to me. I feel like a lot of people like had that situation. Wherever you have like the kids TV, and then you have like the main big TV or whatever.
And that's for sports and whatever, or news or whatever.
And when I kind of was talking about HD TVs and finally getting to experience it on the PS3, eventually my dad, for his job, they were like changing stuff out in the office, and they had a big TV monitor made by HP, which is not a TV brand you expect to hear, but they had an HP TV that they were getting rid of. They were like upgrading it. So he's like, I'll take this and put it in the basement. And that was my first time playing an HD, playing on an HD.
By the way, we
screen.
didn't bring this up. PlayStation Move also, come on.
Oh, PlayStation Move ruled.
iPads, you kidding me?
For a time or whatever. It was cool for a minute. He fell asleep about an hour in, and I ended up playing Dragon Age for maybe 5 to 6 hours by myself. Don't remember anything about the game, but it was a dope time, and that's from Burger's Wonderful World.
I like that.
The sleepover, getting to play at somebody else's house was so fun during that time. I remember playing Little Big Planet at my friend Alex's house, and that was a blast. We would do that a bunch. Also, Grant's. This is a 360 story, but I remember going for a sleepover one night and me falling asleep and him getting Fallout 3 that night and him playing Fallout 3 until 6 a.m. while I just slept there.
I think that I walked over to Grant's to like kick it with y'all or something that morning, or like pick you up, and I remember walking down there and seeing Fallout 3 and being like, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was grinding it out. I thought it looked really cool, and then I never really got into Fallout 3 because I didn't like that you couldn't necessarily shoot stuff easily. You had to use VATS. That was
a big sleepover game for us, Fallout 3. Yeah.
Playing online with my friends and brothers, the nostalgic controllers, and of course the free online when the PS3 first released until they later released PS Plus. It is worth noting that came to the PS4. That was on PS Plus on PS3. You just got like cloud saves and additional free games, free in quotes. Maybe until they later released PS Plus, maybe either don't know or forgot PlayStation Online services used to be free. And that's from iEat. Yeah, the online, free online was legendary. Like I said, saved me a bunch of money as a child of not being able to play these games otherwise with my friends. I will never forget the month or so when PSN went down and they gave out free games as an apology. I got a free copy of Dead Nation and Infamous because of it, and the Infamous series went on to become one of my favorite PS exclusives, and that's from Waffles.
That's rad. I think that because we just had a PlayStation outage a bit ago, I think that a lot of people are like, are we going to get free games? It was like, it was out for like a day. It was a really shit day for it to go out on, it being a weekend and everything, but like it was just a day. Them giving 5 days sort of makes sense to me.
Getting free games during that time was awesome. I also got Dead Nation with that, and I think that it had cross-buy technically. Do you know who makes Dead Nation?
I'm literally looking up Dead Nation right now to just remember what this game is. No, who makes Dead Nation?
Housemarque, baby.
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. So Dead Nation, super fun twin stick shooter zombie game. I've thought about replaying it on the Vita because it's perfect for that.
Are you still rocking the Vita right now? Is the like that an all-in process?
Playing Severed currently still.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm just chipping away at it. I think I'm about a little bit over halfway. It's not a very long game, but I'm gonna get the platinum for sure. I love that game.
Yeah.
Severed is awesome. I've never played anything like it. I think I'll talk about it on a podcast another day, but I think it's a very special video game. But yeah, getting the free games was super cool and super weird. There's that video of the Sony execs bowing for like a whole minute to apologize for the PlayStation hours. They took that shit seriously, man. And the fact that people kind of like stuck with them and were like okay with it. I mean, like they were not happy, but we got through it.
The only thing that matters in the games business is that you make great games. When it comes to customer service, we've seen it. Xbox arguably had the best customer service and like being out there in that the next generation. It didn't matter. At PlayStation had the games.
Yeah,
and that's where we're at now.
Alrighty, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We have to go over our dearly beloved members who make the show possible from the Patreon. We really appreciate your support. Members like Logan,
Hope,
Tyler D,
Scooterman,
Dinkelberg Rules,
Censuro,
Ryan V,
Go, Nash,
Neutral Sphere,
Charlie W,
Stooby Dooby,
Calvin M,
Nuke This Kingdom,
Crispy,
DJ Zach B,
JC,
Uli,
Jacob D,
Big Mac,
Metal Nate,
The Patty Cake,
Bear Pog,
Yogi,
Damn,
Holden M,
Shane O'Mac,
Colin C,
Brack,
Voodoo,
Dr. Pookie Bear,
Alex the Golden,
Andrew H,
Master Diz,
Jesse F,
Drifter X1 Skirt Skirt,
Presto,
Maverick,
Goops,
J Matt B3,
Ali Ben Ali,
Michael B,
Orpal Matt.
and Brian. Thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support. We will see you on the next one. Peace out.